wild. Get wild. Get wild.
Oh, baby, baby, baby. We're back for another live episode of your favorite show and ours. Coming from the Nazareth studio in Lower Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and Tatamy, Pennsylvania. It's Wednesday night movie night with your hosts, Professor Fry, not Kate Hughes, and
Not Kate Hughes. Tyler, are you feeling good about this? Or are you feeling sad about this?
About what, my boy? Not having Kate?
The lack of Kate tonight.
No, I don't. I just was with Kate on a table read for the pilot we're doing. Not sure if virtual table reads are effective, but hey, got
You
people in
did
the
it.
chat. Joe Abram, of course, he's here. Miss Q continues.
Oh, Q Tressa,
Great
we
to
love
see-
seeing you back.
We love seeing you back. It was. You know what? I was sad to not see our friend Q, and I'm happy she's back.
You know what I'm gonna do? Do you know what I'm gonna do right now, Ty? On my
Love
phone?
to. You gonna share the link?
I'm gonna share the link. I've already shared it to 3 places, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share it to other pages now that it's started.
Right. That's
And I
what
would
we
have
do.
to suggest that some of these people do the same thing.
If you're out there, you know what we want you to do. We hate to keep harping on it. Please do us a favor and share the link. It sounds like Chicken is in the background having herself a dang good time.
Yeah, she stayed up a little late tonight. I made some went off with some of the crew and made dinner tonight out of the ordinary. I usually just stay inside and don't talk to anybody, but I met up with some people.
What'd you
Made
make, Tim?
dinner.
What'd you make?
You know what I made.
I bet you made clams and pasta, little sauce, little wine sauce.
Ty, first you get a little pancetta. You render that boy down. Onion, garlic, olive oil, a little
We're
butter.
talking onion. You got the onions swimming in that olive oil, right? Swimming in it.
And some of the grease from the pancetta that comes out. Renders out.
Ah, yes.
As they say. And then you get lemon juice, white wine, Ty, you reduce it down. Then, can't hear me, but then you put the clams in. And the
Now,
clams,
are the
open
clams
up, and
already
then on the
opened?
liquid-
Are they opened up already?
No, they open once they're in that pot for
Okay.
5-10 minutes. And they get all that juice up in the sauce you already made.
That's
And all you got to do is dump it all over the pasta, and you look like a pro chef.
Sounds like a little bit like a future episode of Cooking and Screaming with your boys.
Hard to say. We need
Hard
a
to say.
cooking and screaming kitchen to film in. So if anybody
right.
has one,
Here we go. So what I wanted to ask you, Tim, clams. We've talked about clams on the program before. Are they alive before they open up? Like when you throw them into that pot initially, they're alive.
no nervous system though.
So they don't freak out at all. Is that what that
Clam
means?
is what I've heard. Ty, don't
I have a big ass
Often-
nervous system. You know my nervous system.
Your
is
nervous
big.
system is as big as your entire body. Yours.
Yes.
I've heard this. Don't fact check me. Usually I'll say fact check me. This time don't.
Okay.
I've heard a clam's nervous system is less than the nervous system of a plant, of a tree. That's
I didn't
how
even know-
little pain they feel when they go into the pot. That's what I've heard, Ty.
Yeah, I mean, well, we always debate, do plants feel?
Plants feel. Do they feel pain? I don't know. But I always feel a little bit bad if I was going to like nail a, what do clams taste like?
A little salty.
Never had a clam, Kutressa.
Little salty, little seafoody, little sea like if tuna is the chicken of the sea, clams are the pistachio of the sea.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Were you?
No, sir. No,
What would you say? What would you
I
say?
don't know. I had never thought.
You got
about
to admit,
everything.
the pistachio of the seed is a pretty good one.
I do enjoy pistachios, and
I'm a big time pistachio guy. You know what hurts me though with the pistachios? This future technology. There's already shelled pistachios.
Don't get them.
No, you do yourself a disservice because when you're shelling your own pistachios, that's like nature's limit to how many you can have because your fingers get hurt and you just get tired of peeling. When it's shelled pistachios, you could just handfuls of these babies, and
it takes away the entire dynamic of it, and you don't get that salt from the shell, like good salt.
There's something about catching a shelled pistachio that you can't open that makes you really respect nature.
Oh,
really
like
respect
when you get
nature.
that one.
Yeah.
You just spit out and just throw it, just get rid of it.
Or you just can't get to it. You can't get to the meat.
How about the red ones? You ever get the red ones? That dye your lips red? There's no reason that they would have dyed them red, but they dye the pistachio shells red first.
No, I did.
You ever get those?
No, I have not.
You've never gotten the red pistachios.
I have had salt and pepper pistachios. Have you had salt and pepper pistachios?
Yes, of course I've had salt and pepper pistachios.
Have you had the sriracha pistachios?
No.
Ooh.
But can you imagine if the sriracha ones were in the red shells?
Then they're in trouble.
Home run.
And you're in trouble. Well, we have a great one. I hope people watch the film.
You know what?
I do have to apologize. I did say I mixed up two things. I said hunt for the wilder things. It's wilder people.
Last night we didn't tell anyone the movie whatsoever.
We didn't tell anybody the movie,
which is our own fault. So we apologize. We got caught up with something or other, and we didn't tell anybody.
So I hope you guys did your research and watch it.
This is one of the best I've seen in at least a month.
This might unseat the Shanty movie.
Blow Your Man Down.
Blow Your Man Down.
This by far unseats the Shanty movie for me.
Really?
Not even close.
Does it unseat Raising Arizona?
Yes.
And that was your two top dogs, wasn't it?
Sorry to Bother You.
Oh yeah.
And Palm Springs was one of them also. But this is up there with Sorry to Bother You and Palm Springs.
Well, should we bring them in? Should we bring in our movie guru?
Bring the boy in.
Starting because we're not. If you don't know, we're without Kate tonight. She's auditioning for a movie of her own. Maybe down in the future, Garrett will be suggesting this movie that she's in to watch for movie night. But without further ado, you know him from Philadelphia and the popular movie podcast. I Like to Movie. You know him. It's our movie guru. It's Garrett Smith.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
Yes.
How you doing?
Hey, man, dude. We apologize that we are without Kate. I know.
It's okay. It's okay.
The Trinity is not intact.
Sorry. I hope she watched this movie. I feel like she would like this movie.
She did not watch the movie.
She didn't watch the movie.
It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
Number one, she did not watch the movie. She said she's going to watch the movie. She assured us, but she did not watch the movie currently.
Yeah, she ain't watching shit.
Just like Tyler probably also followed up on last week's movie this week. I'm sure.
He definitely followed up on it afterward.
Is that what I said? I was going to follow up.
Last week you watched it, and wasn't last week Fletch?
I watched.
Oh,
Fletch.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm thinking of.
The one before that was Palm Springs, and then the one before that I didn't watch.
No.
Wait, no, I didn't watch Palm Springs. I didn't watch.
You did not watch Palm Springs, which was excellent.
But I've seen it 3 times since, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Wish you wouldn't lie on the show.
No, actually, I did watch Palm Springs.
Yeah, you watched Palm Springs. I'm thinking about the fucking Lady Karate movie.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one.
Oh, he's not going
to I got the gist.
This movie was excellent.
This movie was really good.
I love this movie. I'm so glad you guys liked this movie. I just rewatched it, and as I was watching it, I was like, boy, this is as good as I remember, but it's also another movie where in my memory, I'm like, this movie is amazing. But then I'm watching it, I'm like, are these guys going to like this movie?
Yeah, no, I did. I liked it a ton because it was like, sound off in the comments if you watch it, or if it's just us 3 talking about this movie, and that's totally our fault.
That's fine. And I don't think it's a spoilable movie, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
it like has it tugs at every emotion. I feel like,
Yeah.
you know, like makes you laugh.
It
makes
was
you sad.
I knew something bad was coming. You knew something. It's one of those things where there's some ups and downs, but nothing really, really bad happens yet, and you know something's coming.
Yeah.
And when two of the main characters are dogs, you know something bad's gonna happen. You know it's gonna involve the dog, and that to me, if you don't cry a little bit, you don't have to be weepy, but if you don't cry when the dog dies, you're a soulless husk of a human.
It's funny because last episode we were talking about Wes Anderson movies, right?
Yes, and I think that this movie probably that's the closest thing I could compare it to. Maybe I don't think it's quite that same thing, but it's got a little bit of that Wes Anderson vibe to it.
Well, and weren't you the one saying that Wes Anderson always kills off a dog?
Oh yeah, pretty much every movie. And I mean, Tim, you just stumbled on a great rule of movies where I think you're probably right. If there's 2 fucking dogs in a movie, no way both of those dogs are making out of the movie alive.
Yeah.
No, at least
one
they can
dog,
have
maybe 2 dogs. No way. One of those dogs is dying.
It's like the rule with going upstairs in a horror movie. Like, you know, you're not making it. Those people aren't going to live.
Yeah.
I knew. I was almost glad in a way that it was Neil.
Yes.
Neil.
You're saying it backwards. Park. Yeah, Sam Neill.
Sam Neill. Yeah. Sam Neill's dog. I wasn't glad, but if it was the kid's dog, it would have been 100 times worse.
Yeah, I like that they go out of their way to show you that the kid's dog survives that like car crash at the end, like right away. It's like the first thing they show you.
Yeah.
Were you not thinking that though?
Oh, of course I was. That's why
I was immediately thinking that, like the dog, because in my mind I'm like, that was a pretty significant car crash,
and they kept showing the dog in the background being like uncomfortable. I also love how there's so much to love in this movie, but there were a ton. I should have looked at which one came out first, but there were either a ton of Wilder People references in Deadpool 2. Or a ton of Deadpool 2 references in Wilder People. I don't know which way around it is, but there was a lot. There weren't just like 1 or 2. It was like half of the fucking movie.
Yeah, Deadpool 2 came out after this.
Okay.
So the kid that stars in this movie is in Deadpool 2. And
same character, by the way. Orphan.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Troubled, kind of a dickhead, but not an actually bad kid.
Yes, and so I think because of that, because like that script already had a character very much like this character in it, they cast that kid, and because Ryan Reynolds is like, you know, kind of clever and funny and a weirdo, like I think he just like he knows about this movie, he likes this movie, he got the kid because he probably saw this movie and was like, this kid's perfect for this role, and so he just he included tons of references to this movie in that movie.
Well,
I wasn't surprised by how many there were because it wasn't just a few.
And I was thinking about like this movie if it was based in America, and it wouldn't have been as good. Like their language and their like accent makes this movie so much better to me.
Agreed. And
I love when people say "reckon." I need more "reckon" and loads. I like when they're like loads or heaps.
That is weird. You know what's weird too is in America, if you say reckon, it's a sign of unintelligence.
Yeah.
But in New Zealand and I think even in like a lot of the UK, they just say reckon, and it just means what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Do you reckon? Yeah. Do you reckon? I reckon. Yeah. It's cool. I wish I said it.
It's not too late.
It's wonderful, and I agree. There's like a so Taika Waititi, the guy that directed this, John Wayne Caldwell is pointing out that he also directed What We Do in the Shadows, which is really funny. If you guys have never seen that,
I think I have.
And who's in that? Waititi also did Flight of the Conchords, which has Jermaine Clement in it, who is then also in What We Do in the Shadows, which is a great movie.
Yeah, I believe Taika and Jermaine wrote and directed that movie together. And that's a vampire movie, Tyler. It's like a comedy about vampires. It's almost like The Real World, but starring vampires, kind of.
It's so stupid.
What we do in the Shadows?
Yeah.
What we do in the Shadows, yeah. And it's incredibly stupid. It's almost too stupid.
It's so funny.
It fits. Everything fits. And they have one of each vampire lives. They all live in a house together, and each one represents a vampire from like a different cinema time frame. It's really good.
It's really funny, and one of the best things about that movie, I think, Tim, is that it has this heart running through it. Like there's this subplot about Taika's character being in love with this woman who's like now like an older woman because he never like changed her into a vampire. What you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's so there, and it otherwise it's this totally stupid comedy, but it's got this like little bit. There's this real story happening.
Yeah.
To one of the
Which is in
characters.
all of his movies, pretty much. All of his movies have some real story because that's why you care.
Yes, and I think that this movie is, and I've not seen his first movie, Boy, so I could be wrong about this, but to me, this is his first movie where the story is the story, and that it has a bunch of his weird nonsense humor woven throughout the story, as opposed to the other way around. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this movie is full of heart. It's like a really great story about these two men, really, like an older man and a young man, and they're these two kind of like lost souls in the world that just need somebody to believe in them, and they're able to give that to each other. And it's like this very heartwarming, warm movie that is so fucking funny because it's got that very New Zealand kind of like you were describing, Tyler, like the rhythms that they have to the way they speak. And the way that they will phrase things to each other. And so otherwise kind of innocuous stuff becomes like very, very funny in this kind of like setting. Yeah.
I loved I want to get into, because it says he wrote it, right?
Taika Waititi. Yeah.
He wrote it, but it's based off of, I guess, a book called Wild Pork and Watercress.
Yes, right. It's based on a book.
So, I mean, I would like to. You didn't read that, obviously.
I've never read that book. No, I don't know. And I understand that it's like a pretty interesting adaptation of that book. That it's like a good adaptation, but it's also very much like his own version of that. Yeah.
My favorite dynamic in the movie was the child services woman and the cop, which
she's a repeat character in Taika's movies. Also, she's in a lot of them.
Yeah. She was to me, that was the funniest. She was the funniest character.
You know what that had an aspect to that I noticed right away that I don't know if this was intentional. I feel like it has to be because I've now seen a lot of this guy's movies. It felt like the Blues Brothers to me. Where,
that's it. Yeah.
So I didn't look up any of this kind of lore to see if it was true, but the fact that it was, she clearly doesn't care about the kid at all. In the video, she's like, he's calling him fat and he's useless and whatever. And then there's like 100 SWAT team members, and they're gaining in numbers, and it's 8 months in, and they're still just sweeping for this one kid. Is so similar to the Blues Brothers in that it was like these guys who owed $5,000 in taxes and 400 police cars chased them.
Yes.
So
that's what was funny.
There was a connection there.
They're trying to rescue the kid, but the kid's driving the truck, and there's 100 SWAT team with guns drawn at him. It's like, are you trying to kill the boy?
No child left behind. No child left behind. Like, it's just keep saying it.
Yeah.
She's got that great line at the end when she finally gets him in her arms. She goes, "Precious child here."
Well, the best was the news when she's on the news, and they're like just trying to do like a heartfelt story, and she's like, he steals, and she like just repeats all of his offenses, and the newscasters are like,
the media,
wait, he's a nice boy though. No, bad kid.
Or when she calls him the Sarah Con, she says, "I'm the Terminator." He just goes, "No, I'm the Terminator."
She goes,
I said it first.
"You're Sarah Connor," and she goes, and in the first movie, before she was doing chin-ups.
Yeah. That's such a funny line.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, this movie is so funny, but it's the like, I was saying this right before we started recording. When Sam Neill starts reading that haiku at the end, both times I've seen this, literally as soon as he opens his mouth, I'm done. I start crying uncontrollably.
Well, then that's like excellent foreshadowing, because you think like when he's sitting in the truck, like when he basically his first words spoken, and he rattles off that haiku that which is like funny, and then he's like, "I got other haikus," and he says the one that's like just like downright awful, like just dirty, and but it's like excellent foreshadowing to like, you're like, dude, this guy's actually,
because you know the kid's smart.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, and that's not the part that I teared up for. Mine was a dog, but like,
I don't know, man. Something
what a great
about
end
that
of the movie, though.
Yeah.
And it was also, I'm gonna have to email Taika. and ask him. That was another borderline Blues Brothers reference because he's in jail, clearly. You hear the alarm, you hear the door shut, all the things are bored. He's holding his bundle of clothes, but he's leaving jail. Yes. So he's not in jail at all. He's going to like just a shitty halfway type of thing.
Which I always think is interesting because, and I, knock on wood, I've never been to jail, and you see it depicted in like movies a lot. That's how you leave jail.
Right.
That they're just like, all right, you can leave now.
Yep.
Like, do you guys like kind of assimilate me back to? Nope. Your stuff is in that room. Talk to that guy. He's got all of it. He'll give it back to you. Whatever you came into jail with. Like, what if you go to jail for 30 years?
Yeah.
Do they give you back the things you brought in 30 years ago?
Yeah, I always think that's such a strange aspect of it.
That flip phone is no longer like we're past the flip phone, but here it is. I don't know.
Also, like, I don't know anybody that's ever worked at a job that long. You know what I mean? Like, so there's like a drawer somewhere that has somebody's belongings in it that then like 45 years later, 4 or 5 different secretaries later is like, I don't know. I don't even know where this key is. I'm
here to get my stuff. I don't know you, dude.
I didn't get trained properly. They didn't, like,
or like, how do you remember? Like, I guess there's a list, right? You go in and they catalog everything you come in with. And then what if it goes missing? Who are you to call?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys don't have my $1,000 I came in with.
One shoelace. One shoelace.
What movie is it when they leave and all he gives them? Oh, have you ever seen Rounders? The movie Rounders.
I've never seen Rounders.
Ed Norton leaves jail and they give him everything, but they don't give him back his toothpick. And he's like, come on. And they like, all right, and they give him back the toothpick.
I don't remember. I remember that being a good movie, but I remember it being so strange that they hired John Malkovich to play a Russian man instead of just fucking hiring a Russian guy.
Yeah.
Because he does this Russian accent, and it's not a very
good
accent, but it's believable because it's him doing it.
I'm pretty sure I heard somebody tell a story once about being on a movie with him, and it was like the movie he was doing before Rounders. So he's like, performing in these scenes with him, and then when they cut, he's like going to a dialogue coach and like trying to form his mouth around this horrible Russian accent. Like he's like, I'm watching John Malkovich like try and do a Russian accent, but then I later see him in a movie and I'm like, oh, you didn't figure that out at all.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
It's like, John Malkovich, he's great, but if you want a Russian guy, there are Russian guys.
Yes.
A ton.
Yeah. Just get one.
Yeah. This is the argument for representation in movies generally.
Right.
If you need a gay character, you can find a gay actor. There are tons of them. There's no reason to cast somebody that's not gay as a gay character.
What's the worst miscast like that? It has to be. Didn't Matt Damon play an Asian guy?
Oh, I mean, was a bad movie.
Well, I know what you're talking about. Was
that Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise is in The Last Samurai. I think it's called The Great Wall is the Matt Damon movie.
Yeah.
I believe in both of those movies, those characters are somehow white, right? Like they're not actually supposed to be Asian. They are white characters in these Asian settings.
It's still silly.
Yeah. That said, I think the most egregious one recently that people were really upset about was when Scarlett Johansson starred in Ghost in the Shell, which is like a Japanese comic book and clearly about a Japanese, like a female Japanese character.
Yeah.
And Scarlett Johansson played her.
I felt like I didn't see that movie because it looked like a movie I just wasn't going to like. But in that movie, did you see it, Garrett?
I did not. I would like to actually because it looks like a movie that I will like, even though it is as terrible as you are describing it.
Fight.
Because my thought on it was because I heard there was controversy too. But if Scarlett Johansson is playing the main character and it's a completely different adaptation of the movie, fine. If it's everything is like by the book except it's just this hot white girl from America, then it's like, I don't know. But another Marvel one, Garrett, that a lot of people got pretty pissed about, but only for like a week until they found something else to be mad about, was Tilda Swinton.
Oh yeah.
Was the boss lady in
what's that character called? Like the Great One or something. I forget. Yeah.
And my issue, because I remember when people were like flipping out because it's supposed to be a Tibetan character because Tibet has been like beaten up by China forever. Like so it's like a whole thing.
Yep.
And they picked Tilda Swinton, who's like as white as you can be. Like you can't she played the Ice Queen in Narnia because she's so white.
Yeah.
And, people were pissed off, but then it sort of was like this counter argument of like, yeah, but who gives a shit about that character? No one ever has, kind of thing. But I remember that being a big deal because they just picked an egregiously, just very obviously a white woman. For that
if
job.
you get cast as the Ice Queen in Narnia, you have to like take a second and be like, it's great. I like to be in movies, but holy shit.
Well, I know this is never going to be a movie thing for this particular show just because too many people have seen it maybe. But damn it if Narnia is not a great one. Holy shit. Have you guys seen Narnia?
No.
Wait.
Garrett.
Narnia is like a lot of stuff. Do you mean The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Which one do you mean?
The first one. There's three. There's three movies.
Yeah.
The second two are bad. The first one
I did see that. I saw that in theaters. I think I was in high school when that came out.
What are they?
Kid who plays Dr. Xavier now, and he's in Glass.
Yeah, he plays the.
He's like
the moose guy.
A flute playing moose. A faun. He plays a faun.
Yeah, that's what.
And it is such a goddamn good movie. It's like 4 hours long, but it's one of those like Lord of the Rings style movies. It's really good. They had a bunch of sequels that were very bad.
I know they keep trying to make that whole series, and they never make ones that are good enough that they can make all of them.
You can finish it in one movie because it's like a lot of the internet kind of mad at everything. People are mad because it has like Christian undertones. Yeah. However, it's a fantasy movie about a mystical lion in another alternate universe. So you can kind of get over the religious shit if you really don't want to be into it and still enjoy the movie.
I believe the author was also like a professed Christian. Like
C.S. Lewis.
It's like that's what he chose to write about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Kutressa says she would have cast us all in Black Panther. I don't know if
it made a bit of sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if
I would have happily played one of those hapless, ridiculous white characters. I would be very good at that.
Yeah,
there's like two or three of them in the movie, and I would be great for that.
Would we have to be like a racist person in that movie? Is that?
I think the way that movie handles it is the white characters are racist in as much as they are so fucking white. They just are the worst possible versions of white people.
Right. Even the one guy who's in all kinds of stuff. I can't. Of course, I can't think of he's in The Hobbit. He is the Hobbit. That guy is. He's one of the main characters, and he just is like retarded during the entire.
He like barely gets anything done. He's like totally non-functional. Yeah.
That was such a strange one because not the movie. I think because Chadwick Boseman recently died, which sucks so bad because
horrible.
I'm a huge Marvel Cinematic Universe person and a huge Marvel comic book person, and I know they don't jive with each other at all. But I like both.
I need further explanation of that when we have a moment. But go ahead.
It's like a 7-hour podcast, but like, but they don't jive with each other whatsoever. But either way, a lot of the characters are okay. They're okay. There's a lot of characters in a lot of movies that are just okay. You can have your Captain America, your Star-Lord, the whole thing. But then there's 40 other characters that you forget pretty quickly. Even Winter Soldier's a main one. You don't give a shit about him. But Black Panther was a character who you thought was going to be a side character. And he was the guy, Chadwick Boseman, was just so good that you loved him as an Avenger and you wanted to see more of him.
Yeah, man.
Because he didn't have to be. He didn't. Michael B. Jordan, I thought, was forgettable in that movie. But like,
what? You're out of your mind. Get out of here.
I'm not out of my mind.
Fight.
Oh my God, he's so good in that movie.
Jordan is mostly bad in the things that he's in.
What are you talking about? He's like one of my favorite actors right now. Oh my God. I agree with you about Boseman. Boseman's incredible. Like
I wish you stopped talking so bad about Boseman.
Well, because if you think about it, like Black Panther didn't even get introduced in his own movie. He's in Civil War, and he was so like made such an impact in that movie. Right. People like wanted a Black Panther movie. You know what I mean? Like, and because he just like, I don't know. He like is lightning on the screen.
Movie.
Yeah.
Do we make the announcement, Garrett? Do we make?
Yeah, we can. We're gonna do Black Panther next week, actually, in honor of Boseman and his passing. Figuring that lots of people have seen Black Panther. It is one of my favorite Boseman performances. It's on Disney Plus. People can watch it right now.
And, right up there with Gods of Egypt. It's right on par.
I was gonna say we've already honored the man on the show once before.
Yes. Right. I don't know if JWC is still listening. He has his show tonight, but I think they're doing something over on Loud and Nerdy tonight to honor Chadwick Boseman as well.
Nice.
But I remember we specifically talked about Boseman in that Gods of Egypt movie where we're like, how'd they get him?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, why'd he do this movie?
Was
I know,
he
and he's-
younger? Was he younger and in need of parts? Maybe.
Yeah, if you look at the timeline, that's kind of early. That's right before Chadwick Boseman fucking pops off and becomes Black Panther.
Yeah.
So that's
So I truly love the because I remember I've seen all the Marvel movies in the theaters, but like, so him in Civil War, because Civil War was a strange one because it's basically an Avengers movie, but it's called Civil War. Yeah, and you have no clue unless you read comic books, you don't know who Black Panther is. You have no idea. And they set it up really perfectly. It's when Tony Stark's acting like a complete asshole, and Captain America is kind of like the rebel and whatever. And he does such a great job. And of course, all of the Marvel movies are slated. They knew which Marvel movies they were making when they made the first one. It's a whole cluster of movies.
It's a plan.
So they set it up perfectly. And then the actual Black Panther movie, truthfully, I was worried that it was going to be another movie written by 12 40-year-old white men who just try to figure out how to appeal to the Black demographic so they sell some tickets. Because that's the truth. That's what mostly happens. It's billionaire white guys who are like, I'll bet a Black guy would beatbox right now. Please don't do that fucking shit anymore. So I thought that's what was going to happen because it's Marvel and they have a lot of money and they're going to do something stupid. And instead they did this perfect movie.
Well, and they got Ryan Coogler, who is a Black filmmaker. He works with Michael B. Jordan a lot, and I love the work that he does with Michael B. Jordan. They made Fruitvale Station together.
Tim just scoffed when you mentioned that he worked with Michael B. Jordan.
You
scoffed
earlier. I scoffed.
No, you've done it again. You're a scoffer at the man.
But they also made Creed, which is my favorite Rocky movie, which I'm sure everybody will be mad that I just said, but I love Creed.
Oh my God. So Creed's your favorite Rocky movie?
Love it. It's the best Rocky movie. Creed. Yeah, it's a wonderful movie. No, it's great. Love that movie.
I like Creed. I don't think it's my favorite Rocky movie.
I love it. I think it's amazing. And it's the same director as Black Panther. And so, yeah, I mean, and then he went I've listened to a bunch of interviews with Ryan Coogler about making Black Panther, and he went out of his way to hire Black, set designers and costume designers and, but also women too. That was like his big thing was his set was populated mostly by Black women. That movie was made pretty much by Black women. And it's partly, I mean, it's mostly why that movie looks and sounds and feels like that movie does. And which is very unique in the Marvel universe, even,
Yeah.
Those movies have like a very in-house style, you would say. They all kind of look and feel the same, and that one really stands out, I think. That
and all of the Guardians movies are separate, I think, from the MCU.
Yeah.
So that one and all the rest are kind of homogenous, but those three movies are
Hold on. I gotta show these two comments in sequence. Yeah. This is so funny to me. Quatressa loves this Creed soundtrack, and
Agree
Chris
with her.
Lewis sings Creed.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, that's the gift right there of tonight. But Tim, you're so right. Black Panther, they do that shit in Hollywood so much where you can just tell that it's a bunch of just white dudes in a room, just
because you know what happened. There could have been a good movie here, but you got a bunch of woke shitheads
or just greedy, or they're greedy, well, make them do this. That'll really resonate with people. It's like, what do you know about anybody?
Anything at all?
I mean, Hollywood has a long history of this. The 60s and the 70s, there's a whole genre of movies called blaxploitation movies from the 60s and 70s.
Those are so bad, though. I don't. Was it? Maybe someone in the comments can, and maybe Garrett. I mean, I know you're our age, but is there anybody older in the comments who can say, were those movies
Kate's not
actually
here.
Popular?
Some of them were
and enjoyable though, like Blackula. Blackula.
I think for Black audiences, Blackula was, and so that was the thing though, is it's called blaxploitation because a bunch of like you're suggesting, people with money, which at the time were white people, in Hollywood, it was white people making movies, saw a Black audience and saw that they could capitalize on a Black audience. And so they wanted to make quote unquote Black movies, but they were white people trying to make these Black movies. But what happened was that meant Black people got the opportunity to make movies, right? Eventually they started letting Black people direct those movies, write those movies. They were movies that starred Black people. And so eventually you get something like Blackula, and it becomes, for the Black audience, a huge movie because they're not seeing themselves on the screen, really. Mm-hmm. Like as much as it, so blaxploitation becomes this double-edged sword of it is exploitative. That's the whole purpose. It's there is for these white, executives to capitalize on that black audience. But that becomes an opportunity for black voices to actually get on screen. And so you get, I've seen some interviews with black filmmakers who said like Blackula was a huge influence on them because they grew up watching Universal monster movies, which are all white people, and they loved those movies. Yeah. And they loved the opportunity to finally see a black version of that. You know what I mean? And that gives them some sort of inspiration to make their own stories. So anyway, yes, I do think that these things start and continue to 50 years later be exploitative sometimes. Still happens.
It's more embarrassing now because we have the internet. All right. Yeah. We have access. Everybody knows everybody. Like I think it's way more embarrassing when you see it now. But little fact, do you know one of the key characters from our childhood, hopefully from your childhood, Garrett, who Blackula then went on to play?
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
This is a good bit of trivia.
I know it is, and I can't think of tell me because it's like right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't nail it.
He was the king of cartoons for Pee Wee Herman.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes,
he would come on. So Ty, I don't know if you watched Pee Wee Herman show, but
just with you and your daughter.
It wasn't. Yeah, years later. It wasn't every episode, but I think it was like every episode. There'd be a cartoon segment of the show, and the king of cartoons would come in. They play trumpets for him, and he'd have a crown on, and it was this old black man who was Blackula. He was the Blackula. And of course, they never made reference to it, but I thought that was such a cool thing.
Well, Tressa, in these movies, we almost felt as if we had to support because it was a black movie, aka Blackula.
Yeah. That makes sense too.
That's interesting. It makes sense too. But by the way, Tressa knows so many like actors and actresses, Hollywood. So she sent me a message. Hey, do you want this actor from a movie on your show? I just messaged them. Like
that's amazing.
Did you say yes? I hope
I said yes. I did say it. I found a way to say yes.
Could you message me? We can't trust that he says yes.
Confirm I've said yes, Tressa. And I think maybe we'll screen that person's movie and then they could come on. Maybe that'd be cool.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, but so fucking Wilder people. Another thing I love about this movie, you guys. That's all right. No, I love this. And also we'll talk more about this next week. Like I'm very excited to talk about Black Panther next week and talk more about Boseman and his career. Because that is like a huge tragedy. But I want to make sure we give Wilder people its due. I fucking love the music in this movie.
Yes, dude. That's what made it seem almost Wes Anderson-y to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A little bit. Yeah, very, very strange.
It wasn't so much the music, it was the placement of the music.
Yes.
In this, like, where like there would be dialogue and then there would be like a wide shot of them roaming out, and then you would hear this like song, Yeah,
he uses them as transitions. It's almost like there are mini music videos amidst the movie.
Or the entire song. Also, it wasn't. Some of them were just little bits, of course, but some of them was a 3-minute chunk of song.
Yeah,
that I like when movies do that. I don't like to do it the entire movie, but I like it a few times.
I do too, and it's one of those unique things that a movie can do. I love when movies take advantage of the format, right? And so this is like a great thing that movies can do. It's like this. Only in movies could you condense time in that way. Could you watch these guys experience 4 months over 4 minutes, and then set that to a unique pop song where it's like you feel like you're familiar with the band, but you've maybe not heard this song from them. It's like a deep cut or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's something, I don't know. There's a unique power to that only movies have.
What was your favorite scene what scene in the movie that didn't involve dialogue stood out to you the most?
Well, I mean, I kind of love the like last, probably what you would say like the last reel of the movie, the last third of the movie. It becomes almost like an Amblin movie and literally has like a Mad Max chase at the end. Mm-hmm. There's all these, they start referencing things like Terminator and Rambo, and you get kind of references to all those movies throughout.
Yeah, the Rambo reference was perfectly placed.
Really good. And also, Tyler, when you said before, like, can you imagine if this movie was set in America? I think they make that joke in the movie, which is this movie was set in America and it was called Rambo. Like when you put this movie in America, it's about like a psychopath. It's
that was my favorite piece of dialogue actually in the movie, was when she's not a cop, right? She's a child protective service, and she like arrests the guy. She's like, you have the right to remain silent. Anything will be used against you in the court of law. And the cop is like, we don't say that here. That's like an American. Like, this is over. You're done. Like, you're not a cop.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, it's also that's an interesting thing too. You know, I guess like given what's happening in the world right now or whatever, but just in general, like I've seen a bunch of New Zealand comedies now. Cops somehow always show up in New Zealand comedies, but one of the jokes always, and every single one of them, is that they don't have guns. New Zealand cops are not armed.
And they make that joke about them, like about that.
Yep. A lot of countries, it's just nowhere near New Zealand, but I was speaking with a couple of men from from Norway recently. Yes. They're a bit younger than me, so I call them kids. They're
wait. Can you give how do you know people from Norway? You're not going to give context to this?
Don't ask what I know and how I know it. Anyway, me and these kids from Norway were at a hotel in Wilmington, Delaware for 3 days last summer, and we got to know each other. So we go out to the bar and we were talking about the differences between Norway and America.
You've added some context, but it sounds creepier. Go on.
It sounds, yeah.
This is exactly like that scene in Hunt for the Wilderthings.
Yeah. At first, I didn't like doing it because my hands were so soft. Yeah. But then over time, he was
so funny too.
I was at a conference for sous vide cooking. If anybody's interested, sous vide cooking is where you have a mass of water and you put your food in an airtight bag. You put it under, you submerge it in the water, put a lid on it, and then you put an electronic device in it, and the electronic device makes the water a exact temperature so you can never overcook whatever food you put in there. Oh. And these 3 Norwegian brothers had come to this conference because it was the first sous vide conference, I guess, ever in the world. And they make racks. They made their own company that make like racks to put your stuff in the water. So the reason I didn't give the context is because of how boring it is. But yeah, that's what they do. So they do this company. They make these racks to go in sous vide things, and we were there. Our booths were next to each other, and we were just talking. And they're like, "So, is it true in America, like with the guns?" And I'm like, well, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "The answer is yeah."
And you were being very coy. Like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah. Right. You're like, but regardless of what you're trying to say, the answer is probably yes.
Yeah, the answer is almost definitely yes. Yeah. They're like, "Can you just have whatever? Like, you can get a handgun. You can get a handgun." And I was like, dude, so their guys' names were
you get a rocket launcher.
They're on my Facebook, but I don't know if they're watching. Their names were Frederick, Christian, and Bjorn. So perfect Norway names. And I was like, listen, you can get 40 handguns. No shit. Like, if you want 40, just go ask for 40. Just bring like $40,000 and they'll just give you 40 handguns. And he's like, well, is there any kind of like criteria? And I was like, yeah, you can't have been in jail, right, you know, yeah. But you could, like, if you go to like Missouri, you could have been in jail. Yeah. Like, they sell my flea markets there, but no, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, you know, the cops have a ton.
Do you want a gun? Do you want one, Bjorn?
They're like, well, you know, and I was like, what's it like in Norway? You know, and they go like, no one knows about Norway in America. No one knows. Really, you know, it's kind of different, but you don't know anything. None of us have been there. And he's like, in Norway, you can have as many hunting guns as you want. You want 50 shotguns, you can have them. But the law as it is in Norway is if someone breaks into your house and you kill them, you will still go to jail. Mm-hmm. Unless you can somehow prove they were definitely going to kill you first. Like, you know, Bjorn, this is one of those rare times where I feel like the American system may have an edge on you, because if you kick down my door in the middle of the night and my kids are sleeping and I shoot you, I feel that you deserve to have been shot.
Yeah.
Not prior. I don't need you to start raping my wife. I need you to be dead by breaking in. And they're like, yeah, we feel that way too, but what are you gonna do?
It's like that whole if a snake, like a poisonous snake bites you, you got to catch the snake to take it to the hospital to show who did it.
Did he mean to bite you? I don't know. And but I was like, well, what do you think? You know, like, because we were next to each other for like 3 days, and I was like, do you think like we're crazy here? Do you think it sucks where you are? Do you think there's someone in the middle? They're like, well, I mean, the obvious. They're just so matter of fact, because like it's not the way it is here. That where you have to fight with each other. And they're like, well, it seems like maybe it would be better if some of our laws were more sensible to defending yourself, but also it seems like you shouldn't be able to have like whatever you want here in America. Like maybe you should pass a test. You know, like if you can pass a test that shows you're really good at using guns, have a gun, but you can't just be an asshole. And I was like, that sounds perfectly reasonable. And I'm sure in your country that conversation goes over fine. But here it goes over very badly.
We literally, there's a saying, out of my cold, dead hands.
Right. and also I asked about the cops, because like this is last July. So it was a little over a year ago. Yeah. And it was, I mean, at any time there's some cop killing some kid. But at this time, I think there might have been a big one. I forget. And I was like, "Is that happen in Norway?" And I was like, and I even said to them, I was like, you do keep in mind that everyone in your country could fit into one of 50 states that we have. So like, it's not the same thing. But does that shit happen with the cops? And they said, again, this is the opinion of 3 guys. It might not be fucking ironclad, but they said in Norway, if something bad is happening and you call the cops and the cops get there and the cops decide they need a gun, the guns are in the trunks of their car, but they're locked with a code that the cops don't know.
Whoa.
So let's say they're like, shit's going down. We better get these guns and shoot some people. They have to get on the radio and be like, we need that code right now.
And I'm sure it doesn't go like, hey, can I have that code?
And they pop it in and they get their guns out. But I just thought that I had never heard of, like, I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea or maybe a middle of the road idea, but it's an interesting thing to know. That
interesting how different.
Yeah.
Well, this is another. This is a one perspective, and we could probably guess what side of the fence this opinion test score. Are you born in the USA? Yes. Here's a gun, kid.
Yeah. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
And actually, here at least in Pennsylvania, this could be a nationwide law, but if your dad or your spouse, and I think even your brother or sister, if they buy a gun and they just give it to you, no paperwork needed. None. As in, you don't need to tell anybody. So if your grandfather, which is very possible, had 40 guns and he gave them all to you, Garrett. Yeah. You have 40 guns. No one knows you have them, and you don't have to tell anybody until you shoot somebody, maybe, which is an odd one.
Yeah, that is insane. That's the craziest thing I've heard.
To me, that's a weird one. I have a hunting rifle, and I don't even hunt. It's just an old. I just have it because I have it. But I don't. No one knows that I have, and I'm not legally in. I don't have to tell anybody. Like
I have a shitty old used car. And the reason I have a shitty old used car is because my sister gifted it to me. And I was not allowed to do that without going somewhere and filling out a shitload of paperwork.
The car
she was gifting me this car.
Yep. The car, you got to do it. And you had to probably pay tax even on the gift, maybe.
Yeah, I believe I did. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's total madness. And another... Since this has turned into the Tim's Outlook on Norway podcast, one last thing that I thought was interesting is, you know how Pennsylvania and New Jersey are kind of, like at each other a little bit, like we think they suck and they think we suck, but we're next to each other.
I think they just love us and we're like shitting on them.
They hate us. They hate us. Ty. Don't ever fucking sympathize with them. And in Norway, I heard one of them, their brother, one of the brothers, he got to America and he bought a bunch of clothes at some high-end mall that was nearby. And he looked silly. He looked like a rugby fan is the best way I can put it. Like wearing like a polo shirt that's bright colors and matching shorts and like socks that match the outfit. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And his brothers all mocked him for looking like a Swede. And I was like, is that an insult in Norway? Like you call people Swedish? Like if you And they're like, yeah, we always fuck with the Swedes. And I'm like, why? Aren't they next to you? They're like, yeah, they're next to us. But now mind you, these guys are our age in their mid-30s, early 30s. They're like, I don't know if you know this, but in World War II, the Germans came by, Austria fought, everyone else fought. I think Austria fought, I could be wrong. Everybody else fought, but Sweden said, we're neutral. Just hop on in, make your way to Norway. We're not causing any trouble. And apparently them doing that to the Nazis that long ago is still open range for like insults in today's
I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Here's a confirmation. Naomi found she found a gun when her dad passed away. Called the cops and they were like, "No big deal."
Yeah, for some reason.
Hey, I found this gun.
There's 100. If you had 100 machine guns, take them.
I love a story like that because I know what she means, but the way it's phrased, it's like, my dad died. Also, I found this gun. Do I need to do anything about this? They're like, no, it's fine.
No, it's fine. Here's your gun.
Don't murder anybody or we'll check into it. But other than that, do what you want.
Yeah.
And here's another comment from this is only going to resonate with the nation. It's also true if you were gifted an axe. No Anna Marie Hamilton tonight, but she is our axe lady. But yeah, so anyway, I have a scene from this movie that
please go.
Was specifically like, I don't know, I can't explain why it meant something to me. But do you guys remember it was right after they found out they were famous?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, they're all over the news and they're walking on this like rock, like in between. It's like almost look like a dried out river kind of thing.
Yeah. And
it was just a interesting scene where they're like wildly famous, but they don't really care about that. Their only motive is to like survive in the wilderness.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it was just kind of like a cool, I don't know why it meant so much to me, but it did.
I love Sam Neill even more now. I loved Sam Neill at a 9.8 prior to this movie. We're looking at a 9.910 because unbelievable.
I'll tell you, he's amazing in this. On this watch, I realized you could do yourself a wonderful Saturday afternoon and have a Sam Neill hates children double feature of this and Jurassic Park. They would sit so nicely next to each other. I
always thought about, actually, I hadn't thought about this until a fan of the show, Tim Durham, who's another movie buff. He writes screenplays. He brought this up to me recently because I was looking for like a service where you can print out the original screenplay of movies. So I just wanted to like read them and see what it looked like. Because that's always interesting to me. Like
I bought a few scripts exactly like you're talking about for that reason. Yeah. So
for whatever he does for work, he has access to like he can just print them out. Mm-hmm. So he gave me the Blues Brothers and Jurassic Park, and he brought it to me. He's like, "Don't you think it's weird how Sam Neill's character was perfectly interesting enough?"
Yeah.
Without them shoehorning in the fact that he also doesn't like kids.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that for 1 second. But then I'm like, yeah, no, the movie works fine. He could have been fine with kids the whole time. The movie would have been exactly the same. But for some reason he had to be like very anti-kid and then they win him over, obviously, at the end.
My favorite thing about Jurassic Park, since we're talking about it, we got some Sam Neill talk going on here. My favorite thing about Jurassic Park is that Sam Neill's character, his arc over the course of the movie, if you think about it, think about all his scenes, the thing that he is most concerned with is this theory he has that dinosaurs evolved from birds.
Yes.
Or that birds evolved from dinosaurs. Yeah, that birds evolved from dinosaurs. He has this theory that birds evolved from dinosaurs. It's all he cares about in the movie. It's all he talks about. And when you watch the movie thinking about that, these like huge set pieces happen that you remember, and it's all you care. It's like this big chase scene where the T-Rex is chasing the truck and they fall off the cliff. And the whole time this Timmy kid is in danger and he hates Timmy, but he doesn't care. Timmy gets thrown off a cliff. Timmy falls down a tree. Then the truck fucking falls on Timmy and crushes him for a second time, and he pulls Timmy up and he goes, "Oh my God, Timmy, are you okay? Hey, you know what though? This does prove my theory that fucking birds evolved from these things, my dude." It's like all he talks about.
My legs hurt.
Yeah. This kid almost dies like 5 times. He gets electrocuted and he's like, "Whoa, you got electrocuted. These things, they're fucking birds though, right, my dude?" It's like
even the end of the movie, the final 1 second of the movie is Sam Neill looking out the window at the birds.
He's like, "Yeah, they are fucking birds, dude."
Or what? Yeah, he's like, I knew it all along.
Yep, love it. Oh my God, it's so funny to me. Yeah, he's awesome in this movie. He's like, by the way, he's also this person in real life, basically. He like has a farm in New Zealand. That's where he lives. If you follow him on social media, he just like posts pictures of the pigs that he takes care of on his farm all the time. He just is this guy.
You know, I think I hate wild warthogs now.
Yeah.
Oh
They're
yeah,
enormous.
dude. Yeah.
I've heard different, even parts in America, like parts of Louisiana and a couple. Louisiana is the only one I know because I was there and they said it a couple of times. But like wild pigs, people, they've infiltrated our United States.
Now it's the pig.
They're
First
all
was
over
the
the country.
apes.
First of all, it's not a linear thing, Ty. If the apes come, the birds come, the pigs come. You got to
anti-ape, anti-bird, and anti-wild boar.
I'd like to make that clear, yeah. But anyhow, in New Zealand, I think they're looked at as just like, I think they're looked at as vermin, like that, like they'll hurt you if you don't kill them.
Yeah,
Am I missing? Andrew keeps saying Texas. Am I missing?
I think he's saying hogs are in Texas.
Okay, all right, because he said it earlier and it had nothing to do with.
Both times I watched this movie, you know what I wondered if the wild boars that they encounter at the end, yeah.
It's a weird theme for tonight.
Yeah. Keeps bringing up Texas.
Just is now saying, Drew, what has happened?
Yeah.
What has happened?
I'm telling you.
Well,
it's taking over the nation, and we need to do something about it.
Do you guys think the wild hogs that they encounter are supposed to be real? Like, are there? Because both times I've seen this, I don't know enough about wild hogs to know those hogs look fucking huge to me.
Yeah.
Yes, so
they look fucking huge.
Good eating.
This is the only reference point I have on that, Garrett. But I believe they are supposed to be. When we were in high school,
yeah,
we had like a guest wrestling coach come in. He was the wrestling coach for Lehigh University. He came in, and I guess he's big into hunting and shit or exploring.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know why he told us a story, and it stuck with me all these years. But he told us a story about how he went to New Zealand.
Okay,
people there, and they like it's a big thing there. Is you go on these hog hunts.
Yep.
And he said in New Zealand, they typically do not shoot these wild. They kill them with knives. The humans attack them with knives.
Jesus.
And it's just across. They have these big tusks. They're menacing. They got there because some other country dropped some hogs off, and they just started multiplying.
Yeah.
But either way, that's a very anecdotal.
Savage as that is, like visually to think of, as we've seen it depicted in the movie, it's not as savage as shooting a hog from a distance with a gun when it doesn't know it's being hunted. Like as like ruthless as killing a hog with your bare hands is, it's still not as like.
Oh yeah, it's not as cold.
Yeah, cold is like, hey, that hog doesn't know I'm hunting it. Boom, from 100 yards away.
Yeah. I just like both times I've seen this, there's the whole thing with the bird. They see the endangered bird or whatever. And the bird looks like it could be, I don't know, like a fantasy creature almost. When they get to the wild boars, I'm always like, is this also supposed to be like a Steven Spielberg Amblin? Like this is kind of the fantasy meets reality for this kid where it's like the boars probably weren't actually this big. It's like his,
possible too.
You know what I mean? It's like his fantasy adventure version of what's happening. Or are they just that fucking big? Dude, they are so fucking big in that movie.
They look so real too.
Yeah.
Especially the first one where the woman kills it and she's like covered in blood.
Oh my God.
Looked real to me.
Oh, by the way, that woman, she's in another New Zealand movie. It's a horror movie from New Zealand that I love called Housebound. She's fucking awesome in that movie, and she's great in this movie too. I really love that actress. I don't actually know her name, and I don't think I'll get to it.
She looks like somebody that was in something else, like an American movie.
I will try and look her up really quick I know you guys are probably trying to wrap up, but hold on. Because
give a shout out to Kristen. Watched this in Wegmans. So
thank you, Kristen.
Her name is Rima Te Wiata. She's a New Zealander, I believe.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, but I don't know what you would be thinking of, Tyler. I'm trying to see here.
I've been wrong before.
No, I know. I'm just here with that famous Australian comedian too, who blew up this past year. She'll take a picture of like Gigi Hadid in like a bikini, and then she'll put herself in bikini, even though she's like it doesn't make any sense on her.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah,
she reminded me a little bit of her.
I don't see any American movies here that I feel like we would know in her oeuvre. But yeah, fucking Housebound is awesome. It's like a horror comedy that woman is in, and she's great in it. She's awesome. Guys, thanks for watching this movie and enjoying it as much as you did.
I'm gonna probably watch it again. To be honest with you,
Really good.
I might do a.
It's just such like a warm boy. It gives me real warm feelings every time.
The kid's so good in it.
He's great.
Yeah. But yeah, next week we got Black Panther.
It's gonna
rest in
rock.
peace,
I'm so
Chadwick
excited to watch
Boseman.
it again. Yeah.
Super sad, but I mean, at this, like, you hear all these great stories about. Like, it seems. I mean, I never met him. I don't think the rest of us have ever met him. But according to everything in the news, he was like a really great person, and like just doing all these movies, and like he would go talk to kids in cancer wards, you know, while keeping this secret. It's like insane to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just an insane, like almost superhero thing.
I was thinking about it earlier today, just because like my back I have lower back pain, right? My back hurts today. And I was thinking, like, Jesus Christ, Chadwick, but I'd have never had colon cancer, hopefully never will, but I'll bet he was in a lot of pain, like real pain for a couple years.
Do you guys remember there was like right after Black Panther came out, it became like a meme that everybody thought Chadwick Boseman was tired of the Wakanda Forever thing. There are all those pictures of him with fans doing the Wakanda Forever thing, but like he just like looked tired. And it's like very clear now that it's like, he was tired. He was sick. He was dying. Like, you know,
Totally. And it shows how no matter how much money you have, you get cancer, you got cancer.
Right. And you know what? And I hate to put a negative spin on this, but you know, when he was sick, he did a video. He did like an Instagram video commemorating Jackie Robinson's whatever it was. He was in like a 42 hat, and he was sunken in, very skinny.
Yeah.
And the fucking people on the internet were calling him like a crackhead and shit, and like saying that he's like addicted to drugs. It's like
pieces of shit. I mean,
but
just like, a nice reminder that you don't know, you never know what other people are going through. You know.
Yep, for sure. And so next week we're gonna dedicate our show to that. All 30 viewers we get, but we're still doing it. So
and we'll talk about a fucking great movie too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
movie.
it'll still be a fun, great movie to talk about. So
that's gonna be cool. Garrett, thank you so much again for hanging with the boys.
Pleasure,
Sorry,
always.
Kate wasn't here to the nation. Kate will be back tomorrow night.
Send her my love.
We will. Go find us on YouTube, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Get tickets for Friday night if you want to see me try stand-up comedy. It's stand-up comedy is this thing. It used to be you would gather in these it's a live performance art that used to happen many moons ago, and they're starting to try it again. So come out, check it out in the outdoors, in the great outdoors. Down below, catch them at Philadelphia and that I Like the Movie podcast. Anything coming up on that? Anything cool?
Yeah, we're doing you know what? If you check out our YouTube page, we just drafted the best Steven Spielberg movies. We did a draft of Steven Spielberg movies.
Sweet.
It was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So check that out on YouTube.
Cool. Garrett, thanks so much.
Thanks,
Top
fellas.
left corner, the man with the master plan, Mr. Button Up. You know him. He's got the shades on. He's got that mustache. Tim. At Professor Fry. I'm at Tyler Rothrock. Tim, before we leave, can you do everybody in the nation one favor? Can you ring that bell?
Oh,
come on now. There we go. Night, folks.